Hey there, fellow maker. Welcome to the shop. We've got Bill today.
And Britt.
And we've got a fun special project, something I've wanted for a very long time. I've wanted a Rebel space fighter pilot outfit since grade school. In fact, I made a snowspeeder costume in like second grade. It was really, really cool.
And you love the snowspeeders.
I do. It's my favorite Star Wars vehicle. So we figured now is the time to, level up and make very legit fighter pilot outfits from Star Wars. And we wanted to do it for Dragon Con, but we didn't have a lot of time.
So we started with the helmets.
Yeah, we figured if we at least get the helmet, probably the hardest part done, and later on we can do the rest of the outfit very legit. But for this one, we went super casual.
Yeah, we wore the orange jumpsuits just tied around our waists with shirts, just t-shirts.
Made our own Star Wars shirts. It made more sense to do that since we were going to be in Atlanta in the summer instead of wearing full snow outfits. So Britt got started making the helmets, starting with a purchased 3D model.
I can't believe how good 3D models have gotten out there. Big Fred's Customs made such a good model of the Rebel pilot helmets. It has all the parts. It has a buck you can vacuum form on. It also came with a thin visor if you want to try and clear print the visor. It came with stencils. It was all like 25 bucks. What a deal. So thank you for making these files available for us to purchase.
Yeah, we'll have a link down below to the files that we use.
It just saves so much time.
Yeah, we had multiple printers going. We had a bunch of PETG, so these were all printed with PETG, and it worked out really well. We did have to cut them into slightly smaller pieces to fit on our printers, and we had to use some supports, but the prints came out looking great.
Some of the sliced parts, especially the ones that were printing up in the air, the flat parts weren't quite flat, so I sanded everything as flat as I could and started the assembly process.
We used 3D glue to glue these together. They have a PETG variant that works really, really well.
And that stuff bonds. You just kind of clamp it in place with some tape and just let it sit for a while and it will not come apart.
Once the helmet pieces were all put together, the seams needed to be addressed. They weren't perfect. This is pretty standard. We used some body filler mixed up to fill in all of those seams. And then of course, once it was cured, we could sand those flush. We used a random orbit sander and 100 grit to get everything smoothed as much as possible. The goal was to get rid of the layer lines. This includes the part that we printed to be the vacuum forming buck for the visor. Once we were pretty happy with the 100 grit, everything got blasted with this stuff called feather fill. It's like a liquid Bondo. It just fills in the remaining layer lines and any little imperfections. Any tiny remaining imperfections were filled in with an air drying spot putty. And then once all of that was dried, we sanded everything down to 200 grit, getting it even smoother.
There's always more sanding.
When we were finally happy with the surface finish, we primed everything with a catalyzed primer. We put on a couple of really good coats. Once that was fully cured, we could do one more round of sanding. We did some wet sanding here at 400 grit to get everything ready for paint.
For the base paint, I just used white acrylic and then I hand painted on the darker seam around the outside. Then that whole thing got clear coated to really protect that white layer.
From there, we can start adding all of the delicious details and decals that are on the Star Wars helmets. And we have two different versions here. The modeler who made these helmet kits 3D modeled stencils to go on these helmets, 3D printed stencils.
I had never tried those before.
Especially going over a curved surface, it seemed like it was a really clever way to handle that.
And the stencils had a little bit of registration built in, so you could kind of align them perfectly. The problem I had was the stencils didn't want to sit perfectly flush on the helmet. These were printed in pieces, so it's not quite the same shape anymore. Also, my FDM stencil print, a little lumpy in places. There were some gaps in the stencil application. I could see light through it, so some paint definitely snuck under and didn't get a clean line.
But overall, it worked pretty well, and we're really happy with the results.
It was fun doing like the black layer first, and then the other stencil was a little bit smaller for, the Rebel symbol. And so when I did the red color, it kind of left a black outline around it. It's like, that's really cool.
So we did a ton of masking and spraying and stenciling to get all of the details on the helmet. Once the black layer was down, we could go over it with different colors. And there are the two different versions. One of them is definitely Luke's version with the reds and yellows, and the other one is technically Dak Ralter's helmet, and it got blues.
I feel like I could take on the Empire all by myself.
I know what you mean.
Some of the remaining details were done by masking with different thicknesses of masking tape before spraying the colors on. This includes the black and yellow lines on the front and then a bunch of gray lines that were hand masked, sprayed, and then got to do all of that satisfying unmasking.
And only on one helmet. The other helmet's very simple.
With the details all painted on, it was finally time to do the real fun stuff, weathering, making these Rebel pilot helmets look like they've been through a galactic civil war, starting with spraying on some watered down acrylic paints all over the helmet, using a towel to remove most of it, doing a tamping motion to sort of get that wonderful texture on there.
Yeah, and letting those dry, they're really translucent layers, so when you look up close, you see kind of like these layers of weathering.
After that, we did another pass with a brush and did some darker colors down in the low spots and crevices. This is places where dirt and grime would accumulate. With the helmets fully painted, it was time to do the visors. And like we said, we had that 3D printed buck we can use for vacuum forming. So we warmed up our vacuum former and heated up some 1/16 inch thick PETG plastic, the clear stuff. We formed it over the visor buck. The process went pretty well, although we found out that some of the PET G we had had moisture in it and was bubbling, so we had to buy some new stuff. So even though it looks really easy and quick on camera, just know that this took us, well, it took us a couple days. Once we had a couple of good visor pulls, we could trim the excess plastic off and use a rotary tool to clean up all of the edges.
The 3D model kit came with the attachment for the visor. It has two positions, the up and down position, so cool. And the holes for those needed to be drilled out from the visors.
Those same holes could be used to dangle our visors when we were dunking them in a vat full of warmed up synthetic fabric dye. This is how we dye our PETG visors. We have a whole video covering the entire process, but basically you dunk them in the hot liquid for about 5 minutes and then you cool them off. And if the tint is to your liking, you're good. If not, you give it another dunk. We dunked it, what, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
So after a few dunks, we got that perfect orange color. We can install these things in our helmets. The visors were then screwed into the 3D printed visor holding hardware, and then that hardware was assembled inside of a rail system that goes up into the helmet and lets the visor slide up and down.
And that whole system was screwed right into the plastic, and it held really well. We didn't use any glue.
There's even a clip in there that retains the visor when it's in the up position. Very clever.
And the whole system worked well. It was very snug at first, but after a couple days of the convention, the visor movement got a lot easier.
The very last step was hot gluing some upholstery foam inside of the helmets to make them comfortable to wear, and then wear them at DragonCon, which we did.
It was a great idea for a casual costume at DragonCon. We even got some people recognizing the specific snowspeeder helmet duo we were doing. And I'm looking forward to making the rest of the costumes.
Yeah.
We need the long sleeve orange jackets. There's some greebly bits that the pilots wear. We're gonna have to make those.
Yeah, so look forward to snowspeeder pilot outfits, maybe this winter. We'll do that when it's cold out. Maybe wear those to Emerald City Comic Con here in Seattle. But there it is. This has been like a lifelong pursuit, and then now I have my own Star Wars fighter pilot helmet.
And I have one too.
Yeah, we both do. We can be snowspeeder pilot buddies. Someday, you know, I'd really love to build a full-size snowspeeder.
First step, pilot costumes, and then the next step, making the snowspeeder.
Next step, we take down the Death Star. We liked our casual costumes. We felt like maybe we didn't get invited to the ceremony in Yavin. Like maybe that's what we were wearing right after we destroyed the Death Star. So instead, we went and partied in Atlanta, which was terrific. I think that'll wrap it up for us today. Britt did the lion's share work on these helmets, so thank you very much for helping me achieve this lifelong dream, and I cannot wait to have the rest of the outfit. It's gonna be amazing.
You're welcome. I had so much fun helping out.
That'll do it from us in the shop today. A special thanks goes out to the members of the Extra Credit Club. These are the folks that support us financially over on Patreon or right here through YouTube memberships. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't afford to make these videos. Thanks for that. Keep it up. If you'd like to join, we'll have a link down below.
Thank you so much, patrons. Oh, and these head forms, Bill designed these.
Yeah.
We have them for sale on our website. There's a template to print out, and then you can make your own out of foam. It's so handy.
Incredibly useful. We have a bunch of these all around the house, both for working on our helmets and displaying our helmets.
I think this is the one I scaled down a little bit to be my head size because I have a very small head.
There you go. So all of that's over at punishprops.com. Thank you again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next build.
Yeah. pew, 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 pew. Mwah.